Today, I'm excited to introduce our guest, Emily Shine. Emily, among other things, is the founder of Human Design Kinesiology, a unique modality that blends the deep insights of the human design system with the body-based healing of kinesiology. Her approach is all about embodiment, not just learning who we are, but living it through our nervous system and energetic body. Let's dive into Emily's world and discover what it means to live in alignment with your energetic blueprint. Thank you so much for joining me today, Emily.
Thank you for having
It's
me.
going to
So good to be
be,
here.
it's going to be a great conversation. We've just both recently been to the Human Design Conference a couple of weeks ago, and I saw you present there. And I said to one of my friends that I was sitting with, I was like, I got to get her on the podcast. And she's like, yes. And
I beat you to it. I reached
And
out.
then you beat me to it. Yeah. I was like, well, you were on my list. Like you were literally on my list, on my desk when your message came through. And I was like, well, there you go. So that's brilliant. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, it's my pleasure. My absolute pleasure. I will say a little forgive me in advance if you do hear a little guy in the background making some noise. I'm a mum among many other things, and I have a little 18-month-old, and he's very vocal
Oh,
today. So,
wow. Good on you. Like
yeah,
you got a lot of things going on and motherhood's one of the big ones, right? I've
yes.
got two kids, 10 and 9.
Yeah.
And we run a gym at home in the
Wow.
shed. So I'll apologize in advance because I just went down to the shed and said to my husband, got a podcast interview. Try not to turn the music up too loud. And we'll just have to forgive any grunting that we hear.
Oh, see, my 3-5 profile just loves the imperfectness and the messy. All of that. Loves it. I'm here for
Oh, I
it.
love it. Well, it's real life, right?
It
It's
is.
that, yeah, sometimes we just can't help those things. So, yeah, thank you for joining me amidst all of the things.
Yeah, for sure. I'm here for it.
All right, let's get stuck in. So, can you take us back to the beginning? What led you into the world of kinesiology and spiritual mentoring? Is that where you started?
Yeah, pretty much. Look, I grew up in a very sort of new aged household. So
Okay.
my grandfather was a past life regression therapist in the 60s, which is
Oh, that is
not
so
when that
cool.
was a big thing. Like that was a very woo-woo back then. And yeah, so he sort of that became like our family, I guess, business. My mum's a past life regression therapist, hypnotherapist. It was very normal for us to go to naturopaths instead of doctors, and well, not instead of, but as well as, and yeah, going to gypsy fairs. That was all very normal for us. So, as I grew up, I was already very accustomed to things like natural health. I wanted to be a naturopath in school. That's what I was aiming to be. I did struggle with a lot of health problems as a kid and a lot of trauma. And as a result, when I sort of got to the age of 15, 16, I developed a crippling anxiety disorder from both having a terrible gut brain connection and lots of trauma and PTSD. And I tried all the conventional ways of trying to get through that. And then when I was about 20-ish, I'm going to say, a lady that I met sort of randomly was like, have you tried kinesiology? And I was like, no, what's kinesiology? And I went and had a session. I just remember walking out of that first session going, I can feel something has moved. Obviously, it wasn't this magic pill that I was cured of everything straight away, but I could feel that I'd actually gotten under something. And it was because, and I still talk about this today, and this is a big part of the whole, movement with human design kinesiology, is that we can do lots of talk therapy, and it's really important to do that. But you can work it all out in your conscious mind, and you can be okay with something in your conscious mind, but your body remembers still, the cells remember still. So when we go into the cells and we start unpacking the nervous system and re-regulating the nervous system, that's when we actually can find that homeostasis. So that's what kind of set me on this path with kinesiology. I couldn't afford to do naturopathy at the time because I was not a citizen in Australia. So I had to pay for my uni courses all up front. And I think back then it was like quite a lot. I think it was like 40 or $50,000 that I would have had to have come up with as like a, 19, 20-year-old. That
Mm.
was not on my
Not a thing.
list. So yeah, kinesiology I think was about 25 back then, and it was something that I could achieve. So I worked really hard. I think I was working like 3 jobs to pay for my kinesiology course, but I just threw everything at it to become a kinesiologist because I just knew straight away that this was going to be my life. Like this was a part of my forever. So yeah, so I think I became a kinesiologist around 24-ish, 23, 24. So yeah, I'd be going on about 13 years of being a kinesiologist now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So that obviously, my next question was whether you had something in your personal health journey that that had triggered
Yeah.
this choice, catalyzed this path, and obviously it did.
Yeah, many things. And I think that's just the life of a 3-5, right? Like we're here to put ourselves into these sort of precarious positions to learn through them and then take that learning and help others. It's
Yeah.
literally my whole design. So, yeah, it's amazing how kinesiology actually fits the 3-5 Manny Gen perfectly.
Okay. Cool. Now, this is this is like a trick question
Yeah,
because I know. Well, I've just interviewed Kim Gould, and I'm in her membership, in the Love You Design membership.
love Kim.
So know, a bit about human design. I'm certainly not a professional, and so for those listening, like we have had a few human design guests on the podcast, but it's not specifically about just human design. So, and the reason it's a trick question is because Kim still says that she has difficulty answering this.
Here we go.
What is human design in simple terms? And then if you could kind of like just do a brief, like, what's a 3-5 Manny Gen?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so human design, what is human design? Yeah, it's a big question. I think that's the thing. It's such a big
It's like,
question.
how do you encapsulate it?
Yeah, especially to the listeners at home without them getting really confused. But honestly, if you know astrology and you know your natal chart from an astrology perspective, it's not too far of a leap from there. So we take astrology, we smush it together with the Chinese I Ching and the chakra system, the Kabbalah tree of life, and then we come out with this beautiful system that tells us how our energy is organized, how we were born to operate within the world. And it really just becomes the roadmap of how we can work with ourselves, with life, swim downstream instead of upstream. And that's what I loved so much about it when I came across it. I was already working with energy medicine. I already had a deep resonance with understanding our astrological makeup. And when I saw it all smushed together in this beautiful, multifaceted, oh my gosh, I'm a manager and I love this system, I was like, wow, this is absolutely the most, ultimate permission piece for people to know themselves and be themselves and live within that frequency. So essentially that's what it is. It's a system that breaks us up and tells us who we are, how we operate, how our energy is organized, and how we can get through life, navigate life with ease and with the path of least resistance.
That's
Yes,
a pretty good summing up of it.
that would be it.
So
Okay.
you found that you were a manifesting generator. I'm also
Yeah.
a manifesting generator.
Ah,
And
I love
like I looked at your website and I was like, God, she does a lot of things. And that's
Yeah.
something that people say to me all the time. And I'm like, oh, I don't feel like I'm doing anything.
Oh, isn't
Do you
it
get
fun?
that as well?
Oh, no, everyone absolutely says I do a lot. And I think I know I do a lot.
But does it
But
feel like you're doing it a lot?
oh, yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
okay.
It does. It genuinely does. But
Okay.
at the same time, I like it that way. That's how I'm built to be. And I think finding out that I was a Manny Gen was, again, it was such a permission piece because I was always told by society to just pick one thing and try and master it, like that generator. And I hated that. I was like, no. And then I thought that I was just indecisive or I couldn't commit to things. And it wasn't the case because I was committing to things. I was just committing to 5 things. And I like it that way. It keeps me entertained. So, and I'll always give myself permission to do that. Like I've studied, I think something ridiculous like 15 different energy medicine modalities now. I've taken bits and pieces from all of them. I've developed courses that dip in and out of all of those things, which is very true to a Manny Gen. And now I'm back at uni studying again because I want to add midwifery to my toolkit. So,
Oh, wow.
and I'm doing that full time while I'm
Parenting an 18-month-old.
if anyone's listening to this going, oh, she sounds a bit like me, you're probably a Manny-gen. Like
Manifesting
I'm a
generator.
hectic one. I'll give you that. I am a hectic one.
Yeah.
I have ADHD on top of it. But yeah, essentially the MGs are the ADHD of the human design system. We love to be multitaskers. We have a lot on the go all the time. We go, 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 go. But we also do need downtime as well. We do crash. We have an energy fluctuation. So it's a little bit less like the generator, which is a little bit more consistent with their energy on a day to day. We do have days where we're like, okay, and now I just want to sit on the couch all day. Like we're not a million miles
Totally.
an hour
Yeah.
all the time. Like it's
And then we can just like do catch up, right?
yeah, and skip some steps and come back
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
all of these beautiful things. So that's a Manny Gen. I always explain the generators like the tortoise and the hare. We're going to get to the finish line at the exact same time, but the hare's going to take a million detours on the way. Yeah.
And so the 3-5 profile, what does
Yeah.
that mean for you? And how did you, when you discovered you were a 3-5 profile, like you're obviously really living into your design, and that's probably taken some time, I would assume. Only, speaking from personal experience, stepping into it is like big. What's the 3-5 mean? And how does that mean? How do you operate in the world because of
Yeah.
that?
So the 3-5 comes from the profile lines, of which there are 6 numbers and 12 combinations for those of you playing along at home. And each of them represent an archetype within your personality in which the soul is kind of playing in within this lifetime. So the 3-5, the 3 is known as the martyr, and they're all about trial and error. So they really often do throw themselves into the fire to see if they'll get burnt. And that's the way that we learn. And so therefore life can be very interesting in that regard. And the fifth line is the heretic. So you know by both of those words, martyr, heretic, the 3-5 is really just here to want to help everyone they possibly can. But the fifth line is all about living in the projection field. So, there can be there can be expectations put on a fifth line that are a little bit higher than, say, what other people might be having to live up to, which is difficult for fifth lines to learn about, because when somebody sees you as the hero, you can only then become the villain. You can't go up from there. So, it's a fun journey. I think for me, understanding my 3-5 was a huge, like, oh, okay, I am meant to experiment with life. I am meant to kind of dip in and out of things and learn from my mistakes and learn from my hardships. And I can take those things and help others, which I was doing anyway. But it really just helped me to solidify why I did that. And then the fifth line, that was probably learning about the fifth line was the biggest change for me, because the third line, which is my conscious line, was already like, yeah, I know that that's what's going on. But the fifth line, which is unconscious to me, again, those of you playing along at home, your second number is unconscious. You might not know that one to be as true for you straight away. That just had a huge explanation as to, a lot of situations playing out in my life that gave me a lot of self-doubt. And, I would put these huge expectations on myself because that's what I was getting from the world around me. And so, yeah, really living into my design. I think I'd been living into my design, maybe, or aware of my design, for maybe about three or 4 years. So just before I turned 30, Saturn return, when I sort of woke up one day and like, I don't care what people think about me anymore. And that is like the best thing for a fifth line to learn ever. And the world just changes and everything becomes technicolor and you just do you. But yeah.
Was that what happened? Did you
Yeah.
literally get that moment?
Yeah. I was walking. I remember it was COVID lockdowns, and I was just walking along the beach down because I lived near the Gold Coast beach at the time. So we were allowed, lucky us.
Don't worry, we're not going to dob you in.
No, it was great. I was, it was just one of those times where we were allowed to do that. I was so grateful of it. Like there was so many people locked away, and we had this beach at our fingertips. I remember walking along feeling so grateful about that. And the next minute I just thought, I'd not long been married, and there was some real sort of stuff that went down with my marriage between the multiple bridesmaids that I had. I had this gaggle of girls, I had like 6 of them or something ridiculous like that. And I thought, I was so evolved and my friends were so above, any kind of like bridesmaid drama. It would never happen in my wedding. And it did. It happened. It happened bad. It really had nothing to do with me at all. It sort of was happening behind me, but it all sort of ended up coming back on me. And I just remember it was not long after we'd gotten married and I was walking along the beach and I'm like, you know what? Damned if you do, damned if you don't. I'm not going to keep trying anymore. And it was really just like a moment. And I was like, this is what it is to be a fifth line. It's to stop caring about what people are projecting onto you, because
Okay.
you can't, you're never going to please everyone, and everyone's not for you. So it doesn't mean you stop caring about people. It doesn't mean you stop trying to help people. Those things are still very true and alive for me. It's just that you drop this expectation of what you can't deliver and what people are going to feel in return. You just do your best. And if your best is not good enough, that's okay, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you would, sorry, I won't spend too much more
No, you're
time on
fine.
your personal human design story. I'm just really curious about, like, so you'd been sort of studying human design, just kind of getting familiar with your profile, your chart, body graph, and all of those things, and that was kind of like the moment where you decided to completely step in to
I feel like
your design.
I planned to step in immediately. As soon as I picked it up, I was like, yeah, I'm stepping in it.
Yeah.
And I think everyone has that same sort of intention, but you'll feel that things drop in different times. This was one of the significant layers for me with that fifth line was, yeah, just that full acceptance piece. And I think for any fifth lines listening, the acceptance piece is big for us, you know. And so no, I definitely was living my design to my greatest knowledge before that, but it was just one of those layers. But this is the thing about any type of self-development or spiritual development: we're never perfect, we're never not ripping those onion layers off. We always have work to be done, we always have parts of ourselves to discover. So, you know, I look forward to the next big epiphany, especially when you start to then dive into the gene keys, which we won't even
Oh,
touch on.
I'm a Gene Keys guide, so I'm
Yeah,
familiar with the Gene
exactly,
Keys.
right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and that's again, it's
Oh,
that
so many
constant
layers.
layer upon layer of
Yeah.
contemplation. You're never at a place of expertise, right? Within
No,
yourself, within anything. You've
no.
got so much learning to do. So that was just one of my significant onion layers, I must say.
Yeah. And then you'll have your Uranus opposition in a few years' time. And
Yeah.
I'm in Chiron return at the moment, 51. So, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. How's
So
that going?
wow, the trip. Yeah,
It-
it's pretty deep.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Life is a trip though, right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and this is the thing, we don't have to take it so seriously. And having these tools, these little roadmaps, I suppose, they really help us to kind of step out of the serious
Mm,
of life and be like, it's just, how
yeah.
I'm designed.
Yeah, exactly. And you kind of when those things start to drop in and you see that kind of that like you can look back in the on your human design chart and the transits and see things how they've played out, and you go like that's actual proof that like it's all predetermined sort of.
Yeah. That's exactly it. And
Yeah.
if it's predetermined. We can't sit in this space of control. And control is the root cause of anxiety, right? Like we all believe that we can control a situation in order to keep ourselves safe. And when we believe that to be true, then we clutch and we clutch, and it creates panic, anxiety, stress, all these things that then affect the cells within the body, and everything speaks to us and everything goes sideways. When we truly understand that actually not much is really in our control at all, we can go into a place of surrender. And that's when we get to truly experience life and the magic that life has to offer us.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. It's definitely a journey.
Mm.
Okay, so kinesiology. When you were at the Human Design conference, you did a presentation about how you have combined human design and kinesiology into, is it a treatment? Would you call it a treatment? Like,
Yeah,
or
you could call it a treatment, a
a
modality, a
modality?
practice,
Yeah,
a balance,
practice. Yeah.
whatever you want to coin it as.
So it was pretty amazing to watch you doing it. Like, were you channeling? Like, what was going on? Because you had some stuff going on with your hands, and you were like lifting the
Yeah.
person. There was someone who volunteered, And so you were kind of lifting her hand on the bed and it was going up and down and there was all this
Yeah.
stuff going on. It was pretty amazing. And we were like, what is she doing?
Look, I would love to say that everything that I pulled up there all came from my beautiful intuition, but it wasn't. It actually was 100% coming from her body. And there's not a
Wow.
person in the world who couldn't learn to do exactly everything that I
Yeah,
just did.
right.
Because all we are doing is using the musculoskeletal system as a biofeedback tool
Mm.
to ask the body directly what's going on. And the body stores absolutely everything about us, every
Mm.
emotion we've ever experienced, every molecular structural, sideways confusion that's going on internally, any energetic imbalances, any past life stuff, current life stuff, anything. It's in our cells. And so when we can use a muscle or a body part to be able to identify whether there's stress or, it's all about just asking the right questions, the body's going to give us the answers. So in kinesiology, we often have like lots of books and lots of information at our fingertips, which we can then muscle test off, and the
Okay.
body will tell us what is correct and what's not correct based on the muscle's response. So what we're actually feeling is a muscle will either go hypertonic or hypotonic based on the feedback that we're looking at. So it'll show us stress, second stage or third stage stress based on how the muscle reacts. So anyone can learn to muscle test, anyone in the world. And if you can learn to muscle test, then you can learn how to read what the body already knows. There are things that the people's bodies tell me every single day by, scanning through information, getting to a piece of information that I have no idea about. I've got no idea what that means. And I have to go quickly do a bit of a Google and go,
Okay.
what is this? And it perfectly fits in with everything else that we were doing, which blows my mind and blows the client's mind, because how could I have made that up if I didn't even know what it was? The body knows more than our brains know. We
Mm.
only use 2% of our brains, but muscle testing helps us to actually access all of this other subconscious, superconscious information. So that's what I was doing. I was really just asking her body.
Wow. And so you were drawing on, so let's get into how you've brought human design and kinesiology together.
Sure.
So, okay, someone comes to you, let's just give you a scenario with their human design body graph.
Hmm.
And are they like, I know this is me, but I don't feel like I can be me? Is there
Yeah.
that kind of thing going on?
Sometimes that could be the way that it plays out. Sometimes, they'll just come in for a session and I'll just ask them, is there anything going on in their life that they're wanting to work on, just in general? And then I can just ask the body where it's blocked within the body graph. And it always comes back to being very similar to what they're working with or what they're struggling with. So it might say, I have a situation where, let's use the situation that we used at the Human Design
Yeah.
Conference. We were intentional with the demonstration. We intentionally wanted to balance gate 1 and gate 2, but have get this. I had no idea that gate 1 and 2 was transiting a few
Oh,
days later. None. That was not planned at all. Like that just happened, and it happens all the time. So of course, the person that came up and got a balance, those gates were relevant to balance because it was what's in the transits. But anyway, we were working with these particular gates, and it was all about creativity and being able to unblock that creativity. And specifically with this person with the demonstration, it was all about receiving. Like we have to be open to receive in order to be able to create, and calling in the right kind of community to do that. And so the body will really just be the guide as to how that session plays out. No one session is going to be the same, but we are able to look at the body graph and go, okay, there is a balanced resonance for these energies. There is an under energy and there is an over energy. So where are you sitting within those energies? Are you in a balanced state here, or are you underactive or overactive? And then what does your body need to be able to unpack whatever's causing you to go into those under or over? Is there a belief system? Is there a neurological pathway? What is stored there? And then what does your body need in order to bring itself back into like a higher frequency with it? And really, kinesiology is based on the understanding that the body can do the healing itself. The body can
Okay.
heal itself. It's just that we get confused. All the little fibers in our bodies and our brains, like a little electrical circuit, they kind of lose connections. And so therefore it starts to run in these old biofeedback loops, which are not necessarily, what's best for it. So by kind of rejigging the communication and getting that feedback loop to run in a way we would like it to be, or a way that's a little bit more, beneficial, the body gets to work at healing itself without having to have all this intervention. So it's a very empowering process.
How much? Now, I know that Bruce Lipton talks about kinesiology in his book, The Biology of Belief,
Yes.
and he talks about how our environments and our thoughts and our beliefs affect our system, and switch on and off genes, epigenetics.
Mm-hmm.
So, how much our words impact our energy as well as the processes that you've been talking about with kinesiology. So how does that play in? Do you counsel? Do you talk someone through it? Do you give them words to use afterwards?
Look, definitely there is a bit of that, but that's working on the conscious mind. And
Yes.
so we
Okay.
have to work on the conscious mind, because if we don't consciously have awareness to something, then we'll keep recreating it. So that is an important piece. But then past the talk therapy, we go into the cells and we start to recode those neurological pathways, recode the DNA. And this is where the gene keys also comes into the work that I've put together with Human Design Kinesiology, is that each of our gene keys / human design gates, they are corresponded with amino acids and
Ah.
codon rings, and that is what makes up our DNA. So when we are working with balancing those within the body, then we're actually reprogramming our DNA at a molecular level. So we're kind of unwinding and transcribing with those DNA molecules. And to go back to your words as well, one of the things that we can do is, when somebody's in a kinesiology balance, it's almost like all of your little neuroreceptors are open and very easily influenced and very easily reprogrammable. And so what we can do is then ask the body what belief system it wants to break down and what belief system it would like to implement. So we've got lists. I've got these books, these beautiful books that have like 5,500 different affirmations in them. And I just literally go through and muscle test, which page do you want, which chapter, which number, and it will pull up the perfect set of words that your body would like to reprogram into its neural pathway to help it to unpack the old belief system there. So we'll do that, and we'll just get the person to say that affirmation whilst in a kinesiology balance. And then as we're balancing the rest of the energy, that kind of just sticks there. They don't have to go home and repeat that and repeat that and repeat that.
Okay.
But they don't have to. It's really just about de-stressing it in the balance.
Wow. Wow, that's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very similar to like when we tap on something, I suppose,
Yeah.
with
Okay. Yeah.
how you use those words and you tap on it. You're kind of decoding or deconditioning those words as you tap on it. It's a very similar concept.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you had the volunteer on the table at the conference, that was on the Saturday, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Did you speak to her on the Sunday? How did she? Do you
She
know
was
how she
actually
felt? Or
Yeah, we didn't have that discussion, but she was actually in my group for one of the group activities, and
okay,
she seemed very sprightly. But it was a bit of a chaotic time. There was a lot of people coming up and
I
chatting.
bet.
I loved, being an MG. I was just like, talk to me more, more, more. But I didn't actually get a chance to corner her and be like, how did you feel after that balance? Which is unfortunate, because I'd like to know. But the interesting thing was, I had a few people approach me after it saying that they felt energetic shifts just from watching it, from being in the
Oh,
room, which is not uncommon, because we were balancing two energies that were transiting. And so, as we know, our bodies all speak to each other when it comes to the human design system. When we're feeling the frequency within these gates shifting in one person in the room, it can literally shift in other people. So it was quite cool to hear that feedback as well.
very
It's one of
cool.
the first times that I'd done it in a group environment, so large like that. So
Yeah,
that was very cool.
very cool. Yes.
Mm.
What about your the people that you work with, I know that you teach other people how to do kinesiology with human design kinesiology. But when you are treating clients, patients,
Yeah.
clients, how often do they need to come to you to get a breakthrough or to feel better? Like, is there kind of like, I'll see you 6 times and you
No, definitely not. There is no timeline.
okay.
Absolutely is indicative of the person. So I have had many, 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 many cases over the years where people have come in for one session only, and that's all they've needed, and they've had amazing shifts. I had a lady actually a couple of months ago who I sell these beautiful crystal grids at markets, and she met me at the market. She's like, "Oh, you're a kinesiologist." I love kinesiology. I've had this crippling back pain for years and years and years. I see osteopaths, I see, all these physios, and I just can't shake it. I think it might be connected to something emotional. She came in for one session. She was, happy. All the rest of it, off she went. I didn't see her for a while. And then I was back at the same markets, and she popped her head in. She's like, "Oh, by the way, it's been like 6 or 7 weeks by that stage. By the way, I haven't had any back pain since I seen you. I just wanted to let you know even my osteopath won't touch me because she said you did such a great job." So that can't be a claim to me saying, "Hey, I'm just this amazing kinesiologist. I can fix your back pain in one session." What it is a claim to is her body had already worked through quite a bit of stuff, I would assume. And it was really that it hadn't tapped into the emotional, energetic stuff that was held within this pain. And once we got rid of that, it was smooth sailing, and she was out of there one session. But then for somebody else, it might take 10 sessions, And personally, I've been getting kinesiology for, ever since I was in my 20s. So like 15, 16, 17 years. And I'll never not get it. Like, it's like going and getting a massage,
Yeah.
like when life happens and things kind of get tense or whatever, you go and get a massage. So it's the same with kinesiology. When you're feeling stuck, when you're feeling energetically bogged down, when you're trying to get through something, you go and have another session. But yeah, I'd say for like there is a kind of a general rule of thumb with kinesiology. For anything really big that you're working on, aim to at least go for 3 times to get under that one. 3 is just a magic number in energy medicine. It's it's God's number, so we want to try and give it at least 3. But yeah, there's no hard and fast rule. Yeah.
Okay. With the if someone comes to you for human design kinesiology, I kind of mentioned it before, that idea of deconditioning. Can you talk a little bit to conditioning, and then how the kinesiology can help with deconditioning?
Yeah, of course. This is actually probably the thing that really sparked the initial interest for me in combining the two, because for the newbies to human design, the person who created it, Ra, he speaks to the deconditioning process taking 7 years, and I'm like, I'm an MG. MGs like to move fast. I'm like, come on,
Really? Come
7 years.
on.
That's a long time. We could do this quicker. We do it quicker. Oh, we'll use kinesiology. So conditioning is where you come into the world and you're so pure, you're so untouched, you're designed exactly the way that you are supposed to be, and then the world happens to you, right? So societal expectations, maybe your parental expectations, whatever could sort of see you as being this, I don't know, let's use me for an example, this bouncy ball MG that likes to do a million things at once, and then society's like, no, get in your box. Like, you sit in your box, be organized. and that conditions you away from feeling really confident about how you're naturally supposed to operate within this world. And this is really true for the non-energy beings, so the projectors, the reflectors, the money gens, the manifestors, because they are, they're different to the 73% of the world that created the world. So there's often a lot of conditioning in the non-energy types as well, to try and just be someone that fits in the box instead of the person that you're meant to be. Conditioning can also look like traumatic experiences. A lot of people have gone through trauma that will condition you to be a certain way.
Okay.
So deconditioning is going in and unpacking those things and trying to restore you back to your, original blueprint, who you were meant to be. Not in a sense that you unlearn everything that you've learned, but that you retain your learning, but also operate in a way that's really resonant for you.
You process all of that stuff, and you learn to identify what is yours based on your blueprint, and what's not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
So you're basically learning to be who you truly are,
Yeah, who
aren't
you
you?
came to be. Yeah. And
Yeah.
when you feel in that energy, it's not like it's not like anything is this magic, like, euphoric thing where we never feel anything. That
Mm.
doesn't exist. But what it feels like is just nervous system regulation.
Okay.
So when the world happens to you, you just go through the motions of being able to deal and cope and let the emotions come up and release and all of the things that you need to do whilst your nervous system continues to regulate through that. Instead of it just all going to like Friesville and getting burnt out and just feeling really low for long periods of time or lost, all of that sort of stuff goes into more of a, okay, put one foot in front of the other, get the things done, feel the feels, and move forward. And I can see that bright light ahead of me because I know that my nervous system is doing what it's meant to be doing.
Mm.
Mm.
I think that was yeah. I would you mentioned burnout, and I think that that's probably a really big far out. My words just aren't coming to me
I was
today.
just thinking the opposite. I was like, wow, my words are coming to me really well. I wonder if you've got some channels in your chat that are like connecting my throat.
I hope
My
so.
throat and my head centers are disconnected. They're both defined, but there's a split there. So
Okay.
usually I'm doing this like, where are my words? But today they're like, here.
Yeah, they're coming in
Ready.
thick and fast. Um, I still can't think of the word. Anyway, it's like alarm bells. Yeah,
Yeah.
burnout. You're
Yeah.
not living in alignment with your design. I reckon it would probably show up for most people if they, even if they didn't know about human design,
Yeah.
if they had that experience and they look at their chart, we'd be able to see within that what was going
Huge.
on.
Huge. And it's huge for everyone. Like when we think about burnout, we immediately go to the non-energy beings as being
Mm,
the main culprits, but that's not the case. It happens for every single one of us. And the generators and the MGs, they are just as susceptible to it because if we're not in alignment doing something that we love, feeling passionate about what we're doing, we are feeling like a potato. We just like we've got nothing, nothing to give. And so, a burnout looks different for each of the types and for every person. But essentially, yeah, it's the living in the not self that will create that burnout.
yeah, amazing. A really important sign. And so the kinesiology will help to realign that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in so many ways, because kinesiology, we can look at the belief systems, we can look at the conditioning, we can look at the emotional and the neurological side of it
Mm,
on one hand. But kinesiology, it's such a huge modality in a sense that it can go even deeper. It can go into, neurotransmitters. We can balance out things like serotonin and tryptophan, and we can go into the cells. We can look at the mitochondria. We can start to balance out ATP, which creates more energy. There's so much molecular things we can do with this wonderful modality as well, which is why I thought, why would they not live so closely together, these two beautiful modalities, and working within reversing that burnout and going with life in such a flowy way?
yeah,
Mm.
yeah, it makes complete sense. What are some of the results that you've seen? Like, do you have any like success stories that really stand out
Yeah,
for
okay.
you?
Heaps. Success stories that really stand out for me. Gosh, I gotta think. I think for me, a lot of the big ones. I hate to discriminate against the generators and the MGs here, but the biggest ones have been non-energy beings. Like I've
Okay.
really seen the biggest shifts within them, probably because of the level of conditioning they were having to
Mm,
live in within their design. So people coming in, probably the biggest ones have been manifestors, honestly.
okay.
Manifestors that have been coming in their under energy state where they've, really dulled their lives down, that they're not shining their light, they're afraid to be seen, because years and years
Mm,
of being too much or being made to sit down and be quiet and follow the instructions. I've just seen so many manifestor women specifically really come into that beautiful balanced expression of a manifestor where they actually are able to inform, they're able to go out there and create, but they're also able to, find that balance of when they want to be social, when they don't want to be social, and not push people away as well in order to be able to do that. So lots of that. Lots of projectors being able to have better energy from a day to day, because not only are we working with, people having the right kind of organization with their day and not burning themselves out anymore, but also a lot of projectors have already got themselves to that state where they are burnt out. And so working with kinesiology, again, we're not just dismantling the belief systems that makes them want to push so hard, because the projector wants approval. It really does. And that can make them push really hard. So if we can go into dismantling that need to prove, then they can kind of find balance, but also working them on a nutritional and molecular level to kind of, I don't know, heal some of the damage that it's already been done, so they can, move forward with more awareness, but also mop up, I guess, the damage that's been done. So yeah, lots of standout people that I can think of off the top of my head who I can see are operating more so within their selves.
Yeah.
Much better after both finding human design and then being able to unpack it within the chart, within the system. Yeah.
Amazing. I'm just reading my questions. I don't want to repeat myself because we've kind of, I haven't stuck to them religiously because I'm a manifesting generator, right?
Where are we going to go next?
Have you got any simple practices that people can do at home that can help them to start reconnecting with and realigning with their energy and their intuition?
Yeah, definitely. Look, I would say if you're an undefined, and look, no, everyone should do meditation and really contemplate on things. But if you're undefined sacral, this is really important, really, really important. And if you're defined sacral, it's movement. Like movement is so important for us. Moving meditation is so important for us to kind of come to that place of reflection. When you're walking, as you're a generator type, you're walking along and you're just having that dialogue coming
Totally.
And then once you have an understanding of what's kind of standing in your way, you can at home do things like yoga, tapping, anything that's physical, whilst, reciting the opposite of what it is that you're wanting to, that you're holding on to.
Okay. Yeah.
Using those positive affirmations to bypass the neurological pathway, and even doing a bit of EFT, which you can just do like off YouTube. Like that's amazing for shifting things through the meridians. Using other vibrational medicine practices like flower essences, essential oils, everything in the body has an energetic frequency. And so when we disrupt these lower vibrational energies and bring a higher vibrational frequency in, then we're actually moving everything up. And this is, this is some of the stuff that Bruce Lipton talks about. Also, Power versus Force by, what's his name? I always forget his name. I can't believe it's just gone. I'm
going to write that down.
Power versus Force by...
Need another book.
There's going to be a million people at home listening to this yelling his name at the screen.
That's okay. That's what Google's for.
Yeah.
You knew the title.
Yeah. He's a really well-known guy, and I can't believe that. I have no idea where it will come to me as soon as I get to the call. But the book is Power versus Force, and it talks about the levels of consciousness and how when we're resonating below, say, a 200, then we're in force. So we want to lift our vibration to above 200. Which means that we're in kind of like flow, and we can do that using vibrational medicine, which is sound and oils and all these beautiful frequencies that we can get from the things around us. So
cool, that's really great. They're very good tips so that was for the energy types, something that moves your body, and for the non-energy,
something that allows you to really sit and
meditation,
listen to your body. Yeah. So meditation is good. Yoga is also good, even though it's movement. But, I would go the slower, so you're not doing too much and bypassing your ability to tap into your brain. And it's not to say that, non-energy types shouldn't move. They absolutely should, and then they can. It's more so, if you're in a state of burnout, moving is probably not the best thing to be doing if you're a non-energy type. Whereas for us, the energy types is actually the best thing we can do when we're feeling burnt out.
Yeah.
Bring that energy back in.
Yeah. Brilliant. All right. You've talked about doing lots of things. And well, that's the manifesting generator, right? And we're entitled to, and we're designed to do lots of
Yeah.
different things.
Yeah.
You're currently studying midwifery.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's going to be another tool in your toolkit.
Yeah, look, I don't know. It's very sacral led, you know. I'm a
Yeah.
sacral authority. I don't know exactly how it's going to play out and how it's going to fit in.
Okay.
I know I want to deliver those babies.
Cool. That's so cool.
I've had a lot of my own experiences, so I want to be a part of that. And I also think I'll probably end up in private practice,
Mm.
a lot of home births and things like that. And I think how wonderful would it be to be able to present these mamas with their child's human design chart and be like,
Oh, yeah.
hey, this is your child, and these are the things that your child might really love, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I actually, when I was at the Human Design Conference last year, did you go?
No, I
There
had
was someone,
not my bub.
yeah, fair enough. There was
Yeah.
someone talking about how for us there's deconditioning, but for when we're bringing the younger people in, if we can really embrace their
Yes.
chart and understand them for who they are and nurture that, then they won't have to have that deconditioning process. They'll just be able to live their design, which
It's
is pretty cool.
It's huge, and it helps you as a parent to really understand why your child is doing the things that they are doing. You know, like my two older ones, I've got a 15-year-old
Oh,
and
wow.
and watching their designs, so like they're so different. Their designs are
Mm,
so different, and they just like one really thrives, and the schooling system has
mm,
been very cookie cutter, and the design is that. And then you look at the other one, and has struggled from the first day of school, and it's still really struggles with it. But then again, looking at his design, he's not meant to be there. That's not his jam. And having that as a parent helps you to really understand that there's nothing that you're doing wrong or
mm.
they're doing wrong. It's just how they're designed, and we need environments to nurture these specific things. And
Yeah.
fortunately, there's limited options, but at least we can understand what to do with them at home and how to help them understand themselves to navigate these things as
Yeah,
well.
definitely.
Hmm.
That was kind of an aside
Yeah, well,
to so you've got lots of things going on,
yeah.
and I just wonder, like in the big scheme of things, have you kind of do you feel like you're fulfilling a purpose? Do you have a purpose? Have you found your purpose? Do you think it's
Yeah,
evolving? Like, where are you at with
it's
purpose?
it's 100% evolving. I think that it will evolve to the day that I die, and
Yeah.
I think that it's naive of us to think that it doesn't have a space to evolve our purposes.
Mm,
But I do feel that I'm living my purpose at the moment. My incarnation cross is the cross of consciousness. It's all about you know patterns and identifying patterns and decoding information and being able to teach these really like huge concepts and almost spiritual concepts to the world and bring them
mm.
to the world. And I feel that I'm doing that at the moment. I'm writing a book on all of this at the moment.
Oh,
It's
great.
a massive part of all of this, so that feels very in alignment with my purpose. But I also feel like I don't take my purpose quite as seriously with the planning it out as I used to.
Mm,
Because I'm a 3/5 MG. So I used to have this like grand idea that I had to figure it all out to the T. And now I'm just like, well, what's alive in me right now? What needs
mm.
to be shared right now? This feels good. I have a defined identity center as well. So like they all
Okay.
connect. Like it's not like they're, going off track
No.
massively. But yeah, right now, alive in me feels like it's really on track and really on purpose. But who knows where it will go in like another couple of years? I don't know. I'm an MG. I'll probably go over there. But yeah, yeah.
One final question, just based on that.
Hmm.
How does your partner relate to that kind of changing? Well, like you say, they're all connected. Like the things that you're doing, they're all embodying the same sort of
Hmm.
ideas and yeah, they're going in the same direction, as you said. But how do when you go, I don't know what I'm going to be doing in a couple of years' time. Is that okay for him?
It's so funny, actually, because when you look at our charts together, we're a nine-centered being together.
Yeah,
So
right.
when you have a 9 and O connection style, it's super comfy. Like it's
Yeah.
just Like, I guess the worst thing that you have to worry about if you have a 9 and 0 connection style for the people playing along at home is getting bored because it's so comfortable. Like, it's just you just can coexist perfectly. He's also a 3-5 manager. So I'm a 3-5
Oh, there you
manager,
go.
married a 3-5 manager. However, he's emotional, I'm unemotional. I have a
Okay.
defined root, he has an undefined root. So he does like a lot more stability than what I do. But he's totally fine with my sort of, I don't know, my manic craziness. He just wouldn't be able to do it himself. Like, it
Okay.
kind of, I think it inspires him a little bit. It gives him confidence to kind of step out of his comfort zone because he loves it. You know, having an undefined root and a defined emotional center, comfort zones are really important to him.
Okay.
So watching me just kind of break through any comfort zone that's put in front of me gives him a little bit of like, oh, I like that. Like, that's exciting for me, but I can still sit over here in my comfort zone when I need to
Yeah.
retreat. So yeah, it works fine. It's different to him, but it's also similar enough to his energy that he can kind of dip in and out of it.
Yeah. My husband's a generator, but I'm a triple split manifesting generator. So he completes all my, completes IU, triple
Yeah.
split.
Yes. Yeah.
And he completes all of the things.
Yeah.
So
Right.
yeah, like exactly the same. We've got 7 out of the 9 defined, I think.
Yeah.
But he's got a defined G center and I don't. So
Uh-huh.
it's
Mm.
been really helpful for him to understand that I want to be lots of different things.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
he's just like, what do you mean? Don't you want to
Yeah.
do this for the rest of your life? And I'm like, no, actually, I don't. I don't know what I want to do. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it is definitely a very comfortable energy to be in
Mm.
when you like complete each other's channels and centers and whatnot. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
been
Yeah.
really helpful for him to understand that about me.
I think it's brilliant for relationships.
Yeah,
Really, like it just, I feel like it changed my marriage for the better when I
right.
found it. Just understanding each other's needs are so indicative of each other's needs. But this is where it's important for the people at home to, dive deeper than just your type and your profile line. Because again, you could look at my husband and I, and we're both 3-5 managens. We should be the same person, right? No, not at all. It couldn't
No,
be any more different because he's a single definition. I'm a
right.
triple threat. He's emotional. I'm not emotional. Like, there's so many other aspects there. But when we do understand our partner's needs, there are just small things that we can do that can completely flip our entire relationship for the better,
Yeah,
when we each other.
yeah, totally. Yeah, it's very helpful and for kids as well, as you
Mm,
mentioned.
mm,
Okay, so as we close,
mm.
because we've come to the end of our hour pretty much, your work at the moment, your offerings in the world, you're obviously doing the midwifery for yourself right now,
Mm.
but you've got other things going on. Where do you, where should we guide people? To your website, to your Instagram?
Yeah, look, my Instagram's probably the most up to date on a sort of week by week basis because there's always like random things that I'm doing, and I'm like, hey, I will not go on my website and update for a random thing. I don't have the time to stop and do that. I'm way too unorganized. So yeah, Instagram's the best place to find me there, but also my website, for my everyday offerings and things like that. I have got another round of Human Design Kinesiology course sort of about
The
to drop.
certification.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, so if people are wanting to look into that,
Yeah,
that's
great.
up on the website. But yeah, other than that, yeah, socials is the best place to find whatever this ping pong ball of an MG is doing.
I love it. I love you and living the dream. um, okay, final thing. We've got a guest directory, so we're going to put all of your information in there so that when people do listen to the episode, they can find all of your details, the website, your Instagram, and so on and so forth in one place. Emily, thank you so much for joining me. It's been great fun.
Thank
I've
you.
really loved hearing
Great
about.
fun. I feel like how did that go over an hour already? Like, it just feels like we were talking for 10 minutes. It's great.
I know. I
The
could.
power of two MGs on a call. I hope you all kept up.
Yeah, I hope you all kept up. Exactly. Yeah, it was great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. You've yeah, and really fascinated with the work you do, and yeah, really grateful
Thank
for
you.
hearing more about it.
Thanks
Thanks,
so much.
Emily.